Grit Machine DNA. It's wonderful to have you back with us. Today I'm joined by Chief Master Sergeant Tony Negron. He is a veteran, 26 years of the United States Air Force Pararescueman, where he finished at the rank of Chief Master Sergeant. Today he is a family man, a husband, father, entrepreneur, incredible business owner, and I'm proud to call him a friend. Tony, thank you for joining us today.
Hey, Dave, thanks a lot. I really appreciate you having here, man. Thanks for inviting me into your home, and I really appreciate spending some time with you.
It's an honor to have you with us today. So I start very simple.
Okay.
Who is Tony Negron?
Yeah, so, man, if I have to sum that up, I would say that, I grew up in a small town, or relatively small, back in Indiana. So I was a Midwest boy. I grew up tasseling corn in Indiana, amongst other things. But I think I'm simple in nature, but I have some strong values these days after spending time in the military. So,
Part Puerto Rican,
Yeah.
American, of course.
Yep.
How did you grow up? What was it like?
Yeah, so I grew up in Elkhart, Indiana. My parents separated when I think I was about 2 when my parents separated. So I grew up, I guess you could say like a mommy's boy, but I'm not a mommy's boy, because
Nope.
I played sports, I wrestled, I moved around a lot because my mom just, out of necessity, she had to do things like that to provide for myself and my brother. So we ended up moving around a lot in northern Indiana, some southern Michigan, kind of in that tri-state area. I spent a lot of time, went through a lot of different schools, and I would say it was a pretty, by standard, most people would classify it as like a pretty dysfunctional family. We moved around a lot, and I had to figure out a lot of things on the streets. That's because my mom was trying to hold down many jobs. I just didn't have the guidance, and I didn't have a father figure around. And as you know, having a father around is a big deal. And and I made it through high school. I was starting to get into a little trouble, and I eventually graduated. And I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, but I found my way to the Air Force. And
How did that happen? Look, it's incredibly important that we have this conversation. We have over 70% African American kids without fathers in the home. With Hispanics now almost 50%, right?
Yeah.
So you didn't have a father figure at home. Your mom's working hard. How did this whole Air Force thing happen?
Yeah, to be honest with you, it's funny because in retrospect, when I talked to my mom later, or the day I went down and signed up for the United States Air Force, I came back and told my mother, and she was elated. She was actually happy about it, and because I think she thought that was probably the best thing that probably ever happened to me. She had been dealing with me, just kind of doing this wavering thing, and she wasn't sure where I was going to go because I just didn't have the guidance. But how I got to the Air Force is at some point my senior year, I wasn't ready to go to college, so I knew this. I knew I wasn't ready for schooling. And if I went to college, I'd be going for all the wrong reasons. I was really into partying, and it definitely wasn't focused on education. So I wanted to travel. At some point, I thought I might go to school and I was ready, and the military offered what back then was the GI Bill.
Yep.
And so I went to the United States Air Force because I wanted to get out of Indiana. I wanted to travel, and I wasn't ready to go to college, and I wasn't ready for education. So it seemed like the best thing to probably try out, and that's what I did. I took a chance, and I tried out the Air Force.
Yeah. Did you have any mentorship, anyone in your life that really was guiding you through this process at that time?
No, I did not have anybody except for my mother.
Give me the hardest things you ever did, and then the things that shaped you the most. So hardest things, and then what shaped you the most.
Yeah, okay. So some of the hardest things that the military was an adjustment, but for some people, it was a great adjustment for me, and it's probably because for all the reasons we talked about before, I didn't have structure. And people like to say that, well, the military can give you some sort of structure. Well, actually, the structure for me was something I thought was awesome. They basically said, hey, look, this is where you're supposed to be. This is what you're going to wear.
Yep.
This is who you're working for.
Yep.
And they also rewarded that structure, and they rewarded your work ethic. And that's one thing I remember early on in my military career is that, people love, it's just human nature. There's some things people really enjoy, and a lot of it's praise and recognition, especially if you've never had it.
Yep.
And the military was really good about that. And I noticed it early on, which caused momentum for me to want to really excel in the military, because even as a young guy, specifically within the Air Force, if you performed well, then they recognized it.
I want to make sure that the listeners and our viewers understand what a pararescue does.
Okay, so I'll just break it down into lay terms.
Some folks call it paratrooper, parajumper.
Yeah,
pararescue.
no, very different. So pararescue is very specific to the United States Air Force. All right, and what it is, if you could imagine a person whose primary mission is to perform rescue, to save lives anywhere at any time around the world. So anywhere on this planet. So if you can imagine what that entails to do that job, well, if you reverse engineer that, you have to have all these different skill sets that would allow you to execute a rescue, any type of rescue, any type of mayhem, any type of humanitarian mission, any type of combat rescue that might take place anywhere on the planet at any time. So whether that's in the air, at sea, on land, in the mountains, you have to be able to rescue, okay? And so you get all the skill sets leading up to that. So there are many, many years that lead up to being awarded the Maroon Beret. And the motto is, these things we do that others may live, which is pretty profound in and of itself, because that's what my job was to save lives and help people. So and I've always enjoyed that, even from an early age.
I want to repeat that, though. What's the motto?
These things we do that others may live.
Yeah, it's powerful. I want two tangible examples or terms of what you learned during your time in the military, 26 years, that has enabled or empowered you in your career.
Yeah. So I would say my work ethic.
Yeah.
It might have, I don't even know what my work ethic would have been before I went in the military. We probably discussed some of that, but definitely the work ethic, especially once I got towards the highest levels of my military career, JSOC, the Tier 1 units, it was amazing to see the work ethic of those people. I guess by the time I got there, you're just a small fish in a big pond. So I would say, the work ethic is something that I could definitely carry from the military into the civilian sector, that I think veterans have some great work ethic, because especially depending on who they served with and at what levels, it's going to be extremely high.
What's the second one?
I would say brotherhood, the brother, I really enjoyed the brotherhood of the military. And I guess it's something I try to seek out, that I try to instill in my own business. Try to bring some of the ways we did the standard operating in the military to my own personal business.
All right, so let's get to leadership. We haven't talked about leadership. There's a lot of discussion out there about what a leader is. I want to hear from one of the most hardcore people I know. What's leadership?
Yeah, it's huge, because it's almost like an easy question to ask, but if you really want to, it's almost like an umbrella term, right. Leadership. But I guess leadership to me is, it's helping. Obviously, if you apply it towards business or any organization out there, you want to get people kind of, on the same sheet of music and things like that. But I look at leadership as maybe helping people or a person try to reach their personal goals of fulfillment and success. And hopefully we try to make that align with, if you're within a military, a team, an organization, if we can make those align with the company's goals, well, that's a good day all around. But I do believe that if you can get a person or people to reach their best self, then if you're the person to do that, maybe you're in the company, I think they're going to give that back to the company.
So enabling or empowering others to do better.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's through experience, through guidance, through caring, through mentorship. I think it's through all those things.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Showing, again, back to serving others.
Yeah, servant leadership. You hear that servant leadership type of thing, but that's truly what it is.
In my work, right, leading people, I don't lead. I serve. I'm
That's
there
right.
to serve them.
To help them get their job done.
Yes, I'm there to empower them.
That's
what
right.
can I do for you to make it better?
Yep. You're removing barriers.
Yes.
You know, you're helping them because they might not have all the network you have, the skills you have, and your experience. That's what you should be leveraging your experience to remove barriers for them, to network for them, and when they come to you with their personal problems, you know, that's which is the greatest thing.
Yeah.
That should be the greatest reward when somebody comes to you with a personal problem at work and go and says, "Hey, I need help with this." Man, to open up that key right there and to give them some sort of help, you know, that's
powerful.
That is a powerful thing.
I wish we were teaching children that skill set more and more.
Yeah.
Right? We're teaching but unfortunately we're teaching you're the guy, you're the individual, you can do this, as opposed to how do you prepare to help others do better for themselves.
That's right.
There are two things. One of the many things I admire about you is this spirit of entrepreneurship. How did that happen from, here's this young man who had a mom, struggled at home, partied, goes to the Air Force, becomes one of the most elite operators in the world. How did the spirit of entrepreneurship take hold? Like, how did this happen where you started businesses? How did that come about? And I want to poke at this for a while because we don't teach kids or adolescents to be entrepreneurs. We teach them to take orders.
Yes.
Well, how did this happen?
Yeah. Okay. So, first of all, I've always, you know, I had some great mentors along my path after 26 years. And maybe we'll talk about some of those guys later on. But, you know, I've always tried to tell my guys, and it's because it was taught to me by these other guys, like, hey, always try to position yourself or be in the best possible position, your best self, when an opportunity presents itself. Towards the latter part of my career, really about my last 2 years, 3 years, I was kind of trying to decide what I want to do. You know, I could have stayed on for 4 more years, because I was going to finish off at 26, and I could have done theoretically 4 more years. But an opportunity came up. Okay. An opportunity came up to buy a business up here in New Hampshire, where I'd been training for the better part of my career, and I was in a position to capitalize on that. Wow. And I broke it down very analytically. I remember I went to a dry erase board. You know, I got with my wife and I said, "Hey, this is what we have. I could stay on here in the United States Air Force and serve and continue to do that." And we broke down what that would look like, and then, you know, we broke down this other thing. And the other thing was new for me, but I've always believed, and I was always taught, you grow, you continue to grow when you take on things that you're not comfortable with.
What I love about it too is you're basically, as an entrepreneur, you have to solve problems.
Yeah.
Right. That's how you build value.
Yeah.
There are two things you said that really stand out for me, Tony. The first one is you had an opportunity, and you and your wife analyzed the options.
Yes.
You took a whiteboard and analyzed.
Yes.
That's a skill set that needs to be taught.
Yeah.
Right? How to analyze a problem and then break down pros, cons, options.
That's right.
Right? As opposed to making an emotional decision.
Yeah.
You took a very analytical approach to that.
Yes.
Incredible takeaway. The second takeaway is you had to get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yes.
Because that's how you grew. And that's how you grow.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah.
As it applies to people.
Yeah, no, because you know, I heard it first in pararescue. Matter of fact, when people go into those type of jobs, hey, you want to be a SEAL, you want to be, a CAG dude. Well, you might as well. You're going to have to get comfortable at being uncomfortable. It's a real thing because, you know, you're thrust into chaos, you're thrust into war. But business is like that too. You know, business is absolutely like that. But I think because I learned that in the military, and I had to deal with so much. You know, I didn't have all the data. You know, intel, we'd only get 70% of it. But I learned to feel comfortable in the world of like, well, I don't need all the data.
Tony, so you have a couple of businesses. If you don't mind, say a little bit more about what they are, just for the folks listening, and then we're going to dive into it.
Yeah. So I own a company called S.E.I. Sierra Echo India. It's really Greenfeed Enterprises. But what it does is, like I was talking about, I used to come up to New Hampshire all the time. So I train soft guys, Special Operations Force guys all around the world, all around the country. But, it's a kind of a boutique company, meaning that people call us up and they said they want to do some training. I just simply go, give me the 5 W's: who, what, where, when, and why, and I put it together for them.
Wow.
That's what we do. So whether it's leadership courses, shooting courses, mountaineering courses, medical courses, resiliency courses, and family type of what I call preservation of the force and family courses. Yep. That's what S.E.I does, But and then Fusion Cell, which I think you're very familiar with. So Fusion Cell was something, it wasn't on my radar to start up, but what it was is out of necessity. Because I was involved in S.E.I. and I came from the 26 years in the military, and myself and another friend of mine started up the Pararescue Foundation. Because all that was going on, veterans were calling me up looking for jobs. And then I was doing what so many veterans before me did, which is I would push them back over into contracting overseas and hey, go back into the same stuff they just left. And subsequently what happened is 5 of my friends got hurt, maimed, or killed after they already had full retirements. So they'd done their time in the military, 20 plus years, they'd gotten out and went right back over into contracting and got hurt, maimed, or killed. So because of that, I said, I'm not doing that anymore. If guys ask me for jobs, I'm going to try to get them a job in somewhere else, maybe corporate. So
I tell people, Tony, and I've been doing this for a long time, hiring veterans is akin to hiring athletes. I don't hire for quote unquote resumes. I hire for athletes. I want people that can think. I want people that can make decisions. And I want people that are risk takers.
Absolutely.
They learn from their decisions and they're faster for it. And so it's a blessing to work with veterans, and I appreciate what you're doing for it. It's always hire the best, and the best are always going to be your elite thinkers and athletes. So love what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're going to pivot a bit. Family.
Okay. Yeah.
Father, husband.
Yeah.
What's that mean?
Oh man, this was a tougher one. So let me start with husband first. Because you've met my lovely wife Katusha.
You mean your pillar?
Yeah, the pillar, the rock. She's the rock, the foundation. So Katusha Negron, means the world to me. I think marriage is a very sacred and wonderful thing. She's been with me through the better part of my military career, and she has absolutely 100% been the rock. The nice thing about being a husband and finding a wife, it's just if you truly find the right one, it's a beautiful thing to be able to spend this precious time on earth with having someone that before we go to heaven, that you truly love. It just makes the time here on the planet, I think more rewarding.
Fatherhood.
Yeah.
What has been the most rewarding part of being a father?
I think the most rewarding part is, well, first of all, feeling blessed that God would hand us children and say, "Hey, look, I trust you." Because man, this can almost be emotional, man. But that God would say, "Hey, look, I'm gonna honor you with 4 of my children, and I'm expecting you to raise them."
Absolutely.
But now, with that being said, I will tell you that raising 4 boys has been the toughest thing I've ever done in my life. It's without a doubt.
Yep.
It's a tough. Going to combat, leading men in combat doesn't hold a candle to raising my boys. And anybody who ever said, "Hey, there's no book on this," you can take some little nuggets out of this book and over here, and maybe grab one of these things over here. But whoever said that, "Hey, look, there's no book on that," and every kid is special in his own way, they were spot on, because you could probably write volumes and get volumes of book on just one of your children, and then none of them will work on the next child.
Right.
And it is very, very tough for me, but, and I don't think I've tried to do what I think's right. You know, the only thing I try to stick to is the stuff I believe in, which are the values, morals, and ethics that you and I talk about.
Yep.
And then I try to instill them and try to give them to them. They just don't always want to receive them.
That's right.
Going back to something my mom said, my mom always says to me, and she still says it to me to this day, is that, you know, you think your kids aren't listening. You just got to keep beating it in them. And then one day you'll look back at them and go, wow, I guess they were listening, because I didn't think you were listening. And look at you, you say so many of the things that I said to you.
Let me ask a couple more family questions, Tony. You are running companies. You have an incredibly powerful wife. You have 4 sons. How do you balance the time? How do you manage?
Yeah. You know how everybody always says, you know, find the balance. I don't think you can find the balance. I just truly don't think it's impossible. You know, the nice thing is that, you know, I'm running my own business today.
Yep.
So I'm not in the military. So I at least get to pick on some of the decisions that, unfortunately, you know, when the kids were younger, I couldn't.
Yep.
I had no choice.
That's right.
And I had to go. So with that being said, at least since I've separated from the military, you know, I'm going to take a day off. We're going to go on that hike, you know, like I was telling you about, and I carve out, you know, I try to carve out that time and make them first, and then maybe build some of my other business schedules around the family.
Absolutely.
So you have to prioritize. Okay. So no matter what, you're always going to have to prioritize.
That's where I was going.
Okay, and I know that's what you were getting at when you asked me that. So I'm in a position now where, you know, I can prioritize in a certain way. Okay, so I chose my family over here on this month, and that's going to be a priority, and I'm going to build all the other schedule around that. And you know, in some ways, because I couldn't do that when I was a younger guy, you know, and I had other things, and you know how it is. It's some months I can probably dedicate more time with my family, and there's going to be other times where I'm like, you know, with Fusion Cell, and Matt's like, hey, look, we need you to engage on this. Can you help us out? Yeah, I'm going to go. That's my priority over there. Yeah, and that's just a part of life, man. You know, it's like you said with the whiteboard and some things you just kind of got to do to get to where you need to get to, and if you can't prioritize or don't know how to prioritize, it could definitely be a little bit more difficult for you. And you got to make sacrifices too. You know, even though for the most part I'm in control of my schedule today, where I wasn't always that way. You know, I had some stuff I had to get done. I had to pull all-nighters, but I'm okay with pulling all-nighters. Now, you know, all-nighters are like all-nighters. Like I'm grabbing some Red Bull, and this thing has to be done. Somebody needed something, and it was a priority to me, so I had to pull some all-nighters. I literally didn't go to bed until 6 a.m, you know, and those are things you have to do. You have to do it. You know, and if you don't want to do those type of things, then you know you go in the direction where you decide you want to go. That's just the way it is.
What is Tony Negron's purpose?
Man. That's okay. You know, I don't even know. No. It's good. It's a good question. You know, because you know, I don't know if it's entirely been revealed yet. And to be honest with you, it's funny you ask, because in some ways I think it's shifted. So you know, I had this plan of running a business, which is what I'm doing today, and I do like entrepreneurship, and I love business stuff. I know because I'm always thinking about it, and I love connecting the dots and helping other people do like business. It's very fun. But I will tell you that it seems like more and more, you know, because you know I do this Pararescue Foundation type of thing, and with the veterans, and then if you look at what Fusion Cell, why it started, it was to help veterans. I guess I'm finding myself in this capacity that I really enjoy. You know, it's a little bit of counseling, mentorship for, I'd say predominantly veterans, guys who need help, who are struggling, not even, and I'm not even talking in the area just to find work, but I'm talking about in the area of other struggles they're personally having, deep personal internal struggles. I actually find it very rewarding. I really, so I don't know if that's what you're searching for, but I guess I found myself as a PJ before I was serving. Now I'm finding myself back in this servant role of helping my fellow veteran brothers who, just need somebody to listen and help with,
If you were sitting here with Tony Negron at 12 years old, knowing all that you know now, 4 kids, your career, incredible life, what would you say to Tony?
Oh man, yes. It's tough. That, I guess, in lies the irony of the situation, because you learn all this great wisdom, but then by the time you learn the wisdom, you're so old to use it. So wish you could go back and infuse it. But from a practical, I'll answer it in a practical sense because I'm a practical man. From a practical sense, I guess I'd say, hey, look at man. Life's frail, first of all, and we never really touched on that. About the frailty that I learned in war, and it caused me to have different mindsets about God and the frailty, how frail we are. So I guess I'd go, hey, look at man. Enjoy your youthfulness, enjoy your time. Yeah. Don't take it for granted. Understand that you're frail, and straighten up on your education. I know, and I say it as a joke, but I'm really not joking. Yeah. I didn't buckle down enough on my schooling, and I had to make up for it later when I could have just knocked it out. I wish if I'd have just knocked it out then, it would have saved me some time later, if that makes sense. Yep. And that may not be as profound as you like, but
No, we're not looking for profound.
Yeah.
But
it's practical.
Absolutely. I was just going to say that there's a key message here underlying what you're saying to the 12-year-old. It's first, understand life is frail. Enjoy it, live it, but be responsible. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And number 2, understand that education is a key, powerful tool.
It is. And not to be taken lightly. And when I say education, and I think you and I agree on this. Yeah, hey, there's education in your school and your Ivy Leagues and stuff, but I'm talking about education of the mind. Yes. And networking and relationships, and I'm talking about education in that sense, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Tony, before we break, quick for the, again, listeners and viewers, just to recap, how do they find out more about your companies and your foundation? Yeah, so, man, if you're interested in a great nonprofit to support and get behind, man, I hope I did it justice, but the Pararescue Foundation, pararescuefoundation.org. Okay, Fusion Cell for any veterans who need help transitioning out after your post-military 10-year service, looking for a job, man, and for clients. I'd actually even say my plea would be more to companies who are looking for everything Dave talked about on why, man, it would be great to hire veterans, man. With their cultural experience, their real world experience, and from the athlete perspective, fusioncell.com. Man, please visit fusioncell.com. We definitely need clients and great companies who are interested in, hiring qualified. Okay, I say qualified veterans. That's right. Okay, that way you get what you want and more. Yeah. And then for soft guys who are out there looking for some great training, SEINH.com. So SEI-NH.com. Punch it up on Google SEI. Thank you, Tony. Right. It was incredibly humbling and an honor to have you here today. Thank you for who you are. Yeah. And thank you for your incredible service to our country, Tony. It was truly a pleasure and an honor to have you today. The honor's all mine. Thanks for having me on, Dave. Thank you.
Si vives día a día en un abismo de dolor y buscas solución a tus problemas, busca del Señor. Sigue su camino y pronto nacerá la paz en tu corazón. Y con la paz del Señor yo he vencido mi temor y yo vivo victorioso por su amor. Y con la paz del vencido mi temor y yo vivo victorioso por su amor. Si vives día a día en un abismo de dolor y buscas solución a tus problemas, busca del Señor y sigue su camino.